You know, I think one of the reasons a lot of people struggle to find peace today is because they never learned how to sit with themselves. And honestly, I understand why. The moment life gets quiet, a lot of people immediately reach for something. Their phone, videos, conversations, music, anything. Because silence can feel uncomfortable. But I don't think silence is the problem. I think silence reveals the problem. Because when everything around you gets quiet, you finally hear what's been happening inside of you. The thoughts you've been avoiding, the emotions you've been suppressing, the questions that you've been avoiding. And I think that's why a lot of people fear being alone. Not because they fear solitude, but because they're afraid of what solitude might show them. I think we've become very good at distracting ourselves. If we're bored, we scroll. If we're overwhelmed, we scroll. If we're stressed, we scroll. And if we're hurting, we distract ourselves. And for a moment, it works. The discomfort disappears. The thoughts get quieter. The emotions and the feelings, they get easier to ignore. But only temporarily, because eventually life gets quiet. And everything that we avoided is there waiting for us. The truth is, you can distract yourself from a problem, but you cannot heal from a problem that you're unwilling to face. And I think some of the biggest turning points in life happen when a person stops running, when they stop escaping, when they sit down with themselves honestly, not to judge themselves or not to hate themselves, but to understand themselves. Because how can you improve something that you've never taken time to understand? How can you heal a wound that you refuse to look at? How can you find yourself if you're constantly running from yourself? And I think that's one of the hidden gifts of a difficult season. Because when life slows down, when things don't go according to plan, when distractions disappear, you're left with yourself. And that can feel uncomfortable at first. But sometimes, discomfort is the beginning of growth. Sometimes, the things that we try our hardest to ignore and to avoid are the things that we need to confront. And I think Islam teaches us something very beautiful here. Islam constantly encourages reflection. Not because Allah needs a reflection, but because we do. To think, to reflect, to reconnect, to ask ourselves difficult questions. Questions like, who am I becoming? What's bringing me closer to Allah? What's pulling me away from Him? What's genuinely bringing me peace? Because if we're honest, a lot of what we chase promises peace. More money, more attention, more approval, more distractions. Yet somehow, people are more restless than ever. And maybe that's because peace was never meant to come from constant stimulation. Maybe peace comes from clarity. Maybe it comes from understanding yourself, understanding your purpose, understanding your relationship with Allah. And none of that happens when your life is filled with constant noise every second of the day. Sometimes you need silence. Sometimes you need solitude. Sometimes you need to sit with your thoughts long enough to finally hear what your heart has been trying to tell you. And honestly, some of the biggest lessons that I learned didn't come during loud moments. They came during the quietest ones. The ones where nobody saw. The ones where there was no audience, no applause, no distractions. Just me and my thoughts and Allah. Maybe you're watching this right now and you've been filling every empty moment with noise. Maybe being alone feels uncomfortable. Maybe slowing down feels uncomfortable. Maybe silence feels uncomfortable. But listen to me carefully. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a sign that something went wrong. Sometimes discomfort is the feeling of meeting yourself honestly. And maybe the peace that you're looking for is waiting on the other side of that conversation.